Hi everyone, myself and Evan will be sharing with you some nutritional tactics for this year's upcoming Tour de Picnic. As you all know, Tour de Picnic is an 80-kilometre bike ride and a 17-kilometre cross-country run all the way to Electric Picnic. Three great charities, Laura Lynn, the ISPCC and Ronald McDonald House will gain from your endeavours on Friday, September 2nd. For more information, head to tourdepicnic.ie. So nutrition for me is more than on just the day of an event or a competition. It's really about everyday habits. The Tour de Picnic is by no means a small feat. So Evan, what kind of tips do you have for this year's participants?
Yeah, so Sinead, some of the things we're going to look at today, basically it's all going to circle around, can we get someone to fuel up well enough before their event, and can we have them hydrated before they start their exercise bout? Okay,
and you mean there about fueling well. Does that mean carbohydrates?
Exactly. So the reason we have such an emphasis on carbohydrates, Sinead, if you want to think of them as the currency that you use to pay for exercise, if we think with that logic, we want an athlete to get as much carbohydrate as they can in the door before they actually start exercising. By carbohydrates, we mean breads, fruits, pastas, cereals, etc.
And why are they so important before exercise?
So when we exercise, it's well known that during exercise, we start to rely on carbohydrates much more, up to fourfold in fact, and the harder you're working, the more you use them. So if we go back to the analogy of carbohydrates paying for our exercise, when we run out of carbohydrates, we tend to run into problems.
You mean they're running out? Would that mean like hitting the wall?
Yep, some people call it hitting the wall, some people know it as bonking. Think of it as exercise bankruptcy. If your glycogen stores or your body's carbohydrate store runs out, you're not finishing your exercise session that day, or at least it's going to be significantly harder than it needs to be.
So carbohydrates are really important. Is there anything else I need to think about?
Yes, so in line with carbs, we have our hydration guidelines, which are equally as important. Brass tacks, it's very easy to get someone to be well hydrated on the start line of a race or a competition. If you get them sipping a sports drink to thirst prior to an exercise bout for about 60 to 90 minutes before they plan on going, they'll be fine. That's pre-hydration sorted in a nutshell.
Super. So good carbohydrates, good hydration. Do I need to practice these things?
Definitely. So one of the big things with sports nutrition, Sinead, is that you never ever do anything new on race day. The reason being is that tolerance and how someone will react to certain practices is very individual. Some people can eat a bowl of porridge and get on the bike with the spoon still in their mouth. Some people really can eat very little before they exercise. So what's important is finding what works for you, dialing in that strategy and being comfortable and confident on race day that it's going to work hassle-free.
So there's some great tips, Evan. Is there any difference between me and an elite athlete?
This is a common misconception. There's absolutely no difference in terms of the guidelines between an elite athlete and a weekend warrior. The guidelines apply equally.
Could you give me an example then of a really good meal to have before exercise?
Absolutely. So ideally about 2.5 to 3 hours pre-exercise, you might go for a starchy meal. So something like a bowl of porridge with some honey is great, or you could go for a stack of pancakes. If it's a little bit later in the day, you could go for something like baked potatoes or a pasta bake or a rice dish. Those are all carbohydrate rich meals. But an hour before you plan on exercising, a smaller carb hit, simple carbohydrates like a banana would do the job. So if you'd like some more information on your sports nutrition, this booklet is freely available to download on the National Dairy Council website at ndc.ie.